What's bothering you right now that you need to get off your chest? Story 1. I'm typing this in a dimly lit hospital room in New York City at 1:45 in the morning, next to my sister, who is in the final stage of brain cancer. Because it doesn't attack the body directly, brain cancer can take a long time to reach the end, and my other sister and I have been caring for her for a long time now, working to get her into hospice and watching as her speech and awareness faded. I admitted her to the hospital on Saturday because she was showing signs of pain, which was new. It turned out to be a very broad internal infection of necrotizing fasciitis. The only treatment would have been immediate and extensive surgery to remove all of the damaged tissue, a truly awful process with an even more difficult recovery. So my family and I decided to use our medical proxy and prevent the hospital from pursuing treatment, letting the infection run its course, which will mean her passing. Maybe tonight, maybe in a day, maybe in 10 days. But my other sister and I will take turns sitting with her, feeding her watermelon, and telling her lighthearted stories about the outside world until that time comes, no matter how long it is. Edit. I was going to end my post there, but reading this over, I don't want it to be just a sad account, so I'll write some more. I've never been in this position before, having to move from a friendly yet boundaried sibling relationship to being an intimate caregiver for someone who is near the end. I've seen others face it, and honestly, the whole thing terrified me. But you know the only time it didn't actually terrify me? When it came time to do it. The first time you have to throw out a diaper, your mind wants to run for the door. Don't get me wrong, but you're comforted by the fact that you wouldn't actually consider doing anything else. All I'll have at the end of this is the knowledge that I was able to do exactly what I was supposed to do, no matter how hard it was, right when I was supposed to do it, for the great benefit of someone I love. Not everyone gets the opportunity to know that about themselves. And for all I have given to my sister, that will be her gift back to me. I hope that's a better ending. It's much closer to how I feel, even in this quiet, dark room. Story 2. Where to start? I'm 30 and I live with my mom. I have a master's degree that has left me with $100,000 in debt, with no realistic prospect of paying it off because I can't find a full-time job. My current job is a freelance contract writing position that I dislike. I have no friends, and the one friend I did have was my now ex-boyfriend, who moved back to New Mexico. On top of that, I can't sleep. I thought I had overcome it a few weeks ago, but now it's back, and I haven't slept properly for the past 4 days. I've always struggled with self-esteem. I used to feel like giving up, but then I was in a car accident in a moving truck going 70 miles per hour. I walked away from it with just a $120 ticket for failure to stay within my own lane. I crossed 4 lanes of traffic during rush hour. My mom ended up paying it. I didn't get hurt, and no one else did either. It should have been my wake-up call, but so far the only result is that I realized I didn't want to give up on life. Still, I can't shake the feeling that I'm a complete failure. Story 3. I feel like I've made nothing but mistakes since about the beginning of grade 12. I joined the Army Reserve to follow in my brother's footsteps and to have a part-time job while in school. My problem is that it's really not for me. I can't stand it. I've tried to like it, but I really want to leave. I've tried talking to my dad about it, but he won't even consider the idea of me quitting. This is the #1 cause of stress in my life right now, and I'm only doing it for the money. Secondly, I did very well in high school, especially in senior year, to get into university. Once I started university, I dove in head first, taking way too many classes, and I've had to drop 2, one of which I haven't told my parents about. Now, after completing my first year, my GPA is terrible, as I spent much of the winter struggling mentally and feeling like I went from being this ambitious young high school student to a future college dropout because I've hated every day I've spent at university. I feel like I wasted this whole year and all the money I earned last summer doing basic training. What I really want to do is improv. I want to act. I've gone back to my high school a few times to help coach the classes there, and that was the happiest and clearest minded I had been in months. That was the one thing I truly loved doing. Everyone knew me as the funny improv guy, and I didn't follow my dreams because I was scared. Now I do nothing creative, and I've lost that bounce in my step. I've lost the goofiness, the individuality I had before. I miss that more than anything. The worst part is I have almost no motivation to do anything anymore. I'm just recently getting back into working out, but the rest of my life is still on hold. I just want to go back 2 years and do it all differently. I never would have thought this was going to happen. Story 4. I'm an aspiring photographer, and my best friend since I was 5 had always encouraged me to pursue my dream. She told me how good I was and was always willing to help, sharing my photos online to get my work more known, telling her other friends about me, etc. She had a baby, and I asked her several times if I could take photos of the baby because she's absolutely adorable, but she always ignored me. Then she went to someone else to get the baby's photos done without telling me. They're mediocre photos that she paid way too much money for. I would have done them for free since she has been my friend for 16 years. She also got a job as the photographer's assistant and never gave me a real apology or explanation. It's been about a month since it happened, but it still hurts my feelings, especially because she's constantly pressuring me to pursue my photography career. I really wish I could stop feeling so hurt over it, but she's acting like nothing happened, and it just bothers me. Story 5. Currently going through a divorce, one that I don't want, but my wife says she needs. It bothers me that, out of the blue, she wanted it, moved out, and went back to live with her parents 2 hours away, leaving me to raise our 5-year-old daughter by myself. She gave me sole custody, while I try to work full-time and go to school full-time. It bothers me to think maybe I could have done something to change it. Maybe not. If you told me 2 months ago that we were getting a divorce, I would have said you were crazy. We had just celebrated our 2-year anniversary, our communication was great, and everything seemed fine. It also bothers me that she won't communicate. I've somewhat accepted the fact of the divorce and am trying to move on, but it hurts that I'll never know what triggered all this. Was it me? Was it her? Or something else? It's painful knowing that after 10 years, 8 of dating, 2 of marriage, she can so easily walk away from everything we had and tell me that I'm being immature with the situation since I haven't gotten over her yet. The future also scares me. I don't know what's in store. I'm not the most sociable guy, and my wife and I just clicked. She understood my quirky jokes, and I knew hers. I know this is normal after a separation, but I can't help feeling I'll never find anyone like her or better than her. Story 6. I apologize that this will be so long, but it's been on my mind for the last couple of weeks, and I feel like I need to tell somebody. I have struggled with social anxiety and depression since I was about 13. Puberty didn't start well for me, and my hormones went all out of balance and I gained a lot of weight. I didn't look it though. The fat would distribute itself throughout my body instead of just staying in one place. As a girl in middle school, this was extremely difficult for me. People would ask why I was slower in PE or why I ate a lot, so I stopped eating. I would wake up late so I wouldn't have time for breakfast. I would only have a few pretzels for lunch, and I would claim I had a lot to eat so I wasn't hungry for dinner. I wanted so badly to have more friends than I did that I starved myself. It got worse. I decided the only way to make friends was through humor, and my style of humor is sarcastic, borderline insulting. So I began making fun of my friends in front of the popular kids, which didn't work. No one wanted to be friends with me. I was known as the starving girl. That's when the depression started. I felt like giving up because I thought that was the only way to make my friends happy. Someone overheard me saying this and told the counselor. I faced a summer of therapy and medications. Fast forward to high school and everything was going well. I was making friends. I felt happy until I was dating this guy. His best friend died of cancer, and he took out his pain on me, physically, emotionally, and verbally. It got to the point where I developed severe ulcers in my stomach, and I lost 30 pounds in 1 month. We did break up, but he threatened to harm himself if I dated someone else. I eventually dated again, and he moved on as well. Throughout all this, my dad lost his job, we lost our house, and had to move 5 times in 1 year. The stress of our financial situation made my mom sick. She developed ulcers in her large intestine and had 3 surgeries, 7 blood transfusions, and spent the year in a very dark place. She's been recovering ever since and hasn't really been the same. For a while, I thought everything was going okay until I started getting constant migraines, chronic migraines. I tried medications, steroid injections, and eventually the only option seemed to be surgery. I was told I had Chiari malformation, and that I needed one procedure and my migraines would be cured. I saw a specialist at UCLA who then told me I didn't have Chiari. I was so upset. I had a migraine every day for 5 months, and I'm not exaggerating. He said he wanted to test for intracranial hypertension, which came back negative. To this day, we still don't know why I have chronic migraines. I don't sleep, I can't focus in school, and I've lost more weight from stress. My friends were my support system, but this has been going on since I was 13. I'm 17 now, and they clearly don't want to hear it anymore. No one is concerned. No one cares. I find peace here. 4 months ago, I was pulled over. I wasn't speeding at all. I have too much anxiety behind the wheel to speed. The officer wrote me a ticket for reckless driving, and I had to pay $600 and take a Phase 3 traffic school class. This class was for multiple offenders, and this was my first offense. Even the instructor didn't believe I belonged there. 2 weeks ago was the final straw. I was turning left, and a speeding car came out of nowhere. We collided. My car was totaled. His wasn't. I injured my neck and shoulder. He walked away without a scratch. I got the ticket. He didn't get anything. I honestly hate playing the victim, but I can't help feeling like a target. I'm such a pessimist when it comes to happiness. I don't believe it lasts. I truly believe life, or whatever higher power may exist, finds joy in causing me pain. If you actually read this, I truly appreciate it. I know it seems like complaining, but I needed to get this out. Story 7. My little brother, he's 14, I'm a junior in high school, has been sick since mid-February. He's been vomiting multiple times a day, every single day. He's unable to sleep through the night because of it. He's often up until 4, 5, or 6 in the morning. He hasn't been to school for more than a day or two in the past few months. He spends his days sleeping and playing Xbox at this point. He's becoming a shell of his former self. I rarely see him happy anymore, unless he's distracted with a video game. He has anxiety attacks a lot now because of all this sickness and sleeplessness. I'll hear him sobbing and breathing heavily, and sometimes he runs to find one of our dogs because they calm him. We've taken him for multiple examinations, and I think he has an MRI of the brain or something, scheduled in a few days. He's had a camera down his stomach and all kinds of similar procedures. All we found out is that he's very lactose intolerant, but that doesn't explain the vomiting because he's barely been eating anything at all, let alone dairy products. My mom has to coax him to even eat a piece of toast. He'd probably go days without food if we didn't. My mother's been stretched thin between my brother's illness and her parents. My grandpa's developing Alzheimer's and is having a really hard time functioning day to day without a lot of help from my grandma. My grandma had a fall recently and broke her arm. It's better, but her back is getting seriously worse. They're both in their early 80s and can't do well by themselves anymore. They live in Florida during the winter, and my mom's flown down there several times since the start of the year to help my grandma with a back surgery and similar things. Just this morning, she flew down there again. She's bringing them back up here with her, and they're going to look for a house to move into nearby. Still, all of this is wearing her down slowly. I've got my personal problems too. My school workload has been wearing me out. That wouldn't be too bad on its own, but I've also got a serious gender issue. I'm transgender. Being seen as female by friends and family especially is tearing me apart. I hate how my body is. It shouldn't be female. It feels like a massive birth defect that everyone knows about. I've taken a step forward and masculinized my appearance. It seems I can pass for male with strangers now. But people at school still seem to have no idea, and to them I'm still a girl. I look boyish, but not enough for it to be obvious if you already knew me before I cut my hair and started wearing guy clothes. I'm so worn out by everything else that I'm too scared to come out. People already get poor treatment at our school for being different, and being transgender is even less accepted. My friends know, and they're really trying, but they have a hard time seeing me as male. My brother and dad don't know. My dad has strong negative views about LGBTQ topics, and I wouldn't put it past him to react badly if he found out. He can be kind when he's in a good mood, but he has a short fuse. Not physically harmful or anything, but I don't want to see what would happen if he knew my secret. My mom knows about my gender identity, but she has a hard time acknowledging it and doesn't quite understand. Honestly, I don't blame her. It hurts, but I don't want to stress her out more than she already is. I feel like I seriously need some counseling for all this. The gender issue is tearing me up because I know I have a while before I can do much about it safely. I've asked my mom multiple times if I can get counseling or therapy for it, and she said she'd look into it, but she never does. I feel like I shouldn't push it. My parents already spend so much money on my brother's sickness and on unrelated procedures for me. I'm getting bone grafts in my mouth and dental implants this summer and next summer because I'm missing 2 teeth and the bone needed for implants. I don't want them to have to spend more for something that feels selfish, but I'm becoming reclusive because of everything going on. I barely reach out to my friends anymore, except for my girlfriend. My parents don't even know we're dating, for obvious reasons. She's amazing, and we lift each other up a lot from the low points, but I can't let her be my only source of emotional support. It wouldn't be healthy for either of us. Story 8. I'm currently a college freshman. I was accepted to a well-regarded engineering program, which I attended in my fall semester. Going to university has been my goal since I was a little kid. However, my parents' finances and credit scores had declined so much over the last few years that I couldn't get student loans to continue going to school there. They always assured me to just focus on getting into a school, not about paying for it, so I wasn't prepared for this. I've been living at home since January and attending community college, which we can afford. I've been basically alone the entire time. All of my friends are away at university, living their own lives, and there's not much at my school that would interest me socially. It's mostly older students, and the atmosphere feels very much like get to class, then leave, so there's little opportunity to make friends. Homework doesn't keep me busy, as I don't get much of it, and I don't have a job. I've been avoiding talking to my friends, partly because I don't want to bother them, but mostly out of feeling inadequate. I'm the only one among them who has ever had financial difficulties. My current choice of school makes me feel worse, as most of them attend prestigious public or Ivy League universities, while I'm attending community college. I've always had this false impression that community college isn't real college, and I can't seem to let go of it. Consciously, I know my friends don't actually care, but I can't stop fearing they might look down on me. I've been isolating myself for the past 4 months, spending most of my time in my room, watching anime and playing Skyrim. With the semester ending and an empty summer ahead, I have no idea what I need to do or how to get where I want to go. I'm starting to fear I'll become a shut-in who never leaves my parents' house, never achieves my goals, and never really has a life again. I know others have it worse, but I feel completely unprepared for and overwhelmed by all of this. Story 9. This may get buried, but I just went through the hardest breakup of my life. I was planning to propose to her this year. She meant the world to me. I had no indication she was unhappy in the relationship because she showed no signs, and I'm not oblivious or naive. About a month ago, she ended things out of the blue, and I've been feeling awful since. I'm a junior at university, and I've essentially thrown away this semester, which will probably add another year to my studies. I have no motivation, except for today when I took a prescription stimulant and felt like myself again. I'm sad all the time. I hate sleeping because waking up reminds me she's no longer in my life. I want to be angry at her for ending things, but I can't. She's already seeing other people and seems extremely happy based on her social media. I miss her so much that sometimes I can't muster the energy to do anything but sit online. I'm especially upset that it took medication to make me feel normal for a day. I understand I'm going to be sad for a while, but it feels like my whole world was taken away without any real explanation other than, I just need to be single. I feel like I'll never be okay again, and the thought of romance makes me feel sick. I worry it will be impossible to trust or be vulnerable with anyone again. I'm usually a happy, outgoing person, and even my 76-year-old grandmother, who isn't always fully aware, has noticed I'm not acting like myself. With story 10. As far as my family knows, my biological father doesn't know I exist. My mom left him before she knew she was pregnant with me. He wasn't a very stable person. He drank, used drugs, and couldn't keep a job. All my life, I assumed he had passed away due to his choices, and it never bothered me much. I knew he had 3 children in another country. Recently, at 19, I decided to search his last name on social media. I found all three of them, and it felt strange looking at them, knowing they're my siblings. I also found my biological grandfather online. Curious to see more of the family, I kept looking, and then I found my biological father. I'd only ever seen one picture of him before, so this was completely surreal. I didn't think he was still alive. At first, I felt a lot of mixed emotions, and I still do, as this happened only a few hours ago. Now I have no idea if I should contact him and tell him about myself. The strangest part is that he lives only about 8 hours away from me. I'm really unsure what to do. Story 11. I just don't know what to do with myself. I've spent so much time in the hospital, either very sick due to complications from anorexia nervosa, hooked up to a feeding tube, confined to bed or a wheelchair, or in an inpatient program where every day was filled with eating large amounts of food and attending therapy sessions and activities. Now I'm at a healthier weight, stronger, and with more energy, but I don't know how to fill my time. I tried getting a job, but despite handing out many resumes, I never got hired. I've been approved for disability financial assistance, so I'll be receiving money even without working, as I qualify as disabled. I'm taking some university courses over the summer to make up for the school I missed while hospitalized, but they're online, so I won't be going to any classes in person. I like to draw, paint, and play video games, but nothing holds my attention for long. I end up sitting around browsing the internet, which gets boring quickly. I feel uncomfortable about my body, especially when I don't go out for walks, and my husband cooks very large, rich meals. Last week, at my dietitian's office, I had lost 9 pounds, putting me at around 91 pounds. Now I'm worried that with how much I've been eating and sleeping, often from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., plus naps, I may have regained that weight. I feel like I need to walk more and avoid sitting all day. I don't want to eat desserts, restaurant meals, or anything extra. Story 12. I have a lot going on in my life, an extreme amount, but I'm not here to unload everything. I can cope. I've always coped. I've had mental breakdowns, even to the point of serious illness multiple times, but I've always gotten back up. It hurts each time, but I tell myself it's either get up or give up completely, so I get up. And no, I won't call this my fair share, because it hasn't been fair at all. Right now I'm broke. I'm living off what little food I have in the freezer and scraps because I can't afford more. I'll be spending the weekend completely alone, which is tough for me, and it's likely I'll be hungry through most, if not all of it. I was gifted a rosemary plant, one of my favorite herbs, and I'm watching it slowly die because I can't afford the soil it needs, which makes me sad because it was one of the nicest things anyone has done for me in a long time. I love to cook, but I simply can't right now. I might have enough for one proper meal, though it would still be made from odds and ends, and I can't afford to make a salad to go with it. Recently, I had been feeling good about my body after recovering from a severe eating disorder, but now it's my financial situation, not my mind, that keeps me from eating enough. I work every day to overcome the struggles of my past, but problems keep piling up like an unwinnable game. I can live with other inconveniences of being poor, like my apartment being cold enough to make me sick, which means I should be using my prescribed asthma medication, but I can't afford it. What I truly miss is being able to eat enough to feel good and not worry about whether I'll have food for tomorrow. I've saved a little toward a dream, but it's not even enough to feed me for 2 days. I'm just so tired, and it's not like I didn't already have more than enough problems to deal with. Story 13. I'm really just not happy. I'm going back to school to get my first degree starting next month, but that's the only thing I feel okay about. My marriage feels tiring and boring because my wife won't listen to what I need to say without becoming defensive. Every one of her failures somehow ends up being partly my fault. She's given up on every single diet and workout plan because I just don't believe in her, and she'll always fail because that's what I expect her to do. She's become completely dependent on me, as we only have one car that she won't learn to drive, manual transmission. It's not that she can't. She's driven it before. She just won't. This means I'm a chauffeur, and she's stuck at home if I want to go out. I do want to go out because she only ever wants to sit on the couch and browse Pinterest, while I crave interaction with people who share my interests rather than just tolerate what I say. I want to see a doctor about depression or counseling because I want to know if it's actually my marriage that's the issue or me, but she dislikes therapy and medication in general. I also need to see a doctor about ADD because I've failed at school twice now and want to do everything I can to succeed this time. I've also realized that I don't believe in any religion. I figured it out a little more than a year ago. My wife's family is extremely religious, which honestly worries me. As difficult as I think my marriage is, I wouldn't want to cause conflict between her and her family because I don't share their beliefs. I'm even more concerned that when we decide to have kids, her family might turn her against me because I want our children to choose baptism only when they are old enough to decide for themselves. Story 14. I need to finish about 5 weeks of schoolwork in the next 6 days. It's possible, and I'm making progress. I just ignored an online class for a few weeks, and now here I am. I cut a girl out of my life a while ago. I wanted to date her, but she kept playing games. She went from saying she loved me to being completely over it just weeks later. Then she called me crying, saying she missed me, that she had been depressed since I cut contact, and that she still cared. She seemed genuine, so I grudgingly let her back into my life. I'm still not sure if that was a good idea. Right now, I'm trying to keep my options open. I told her she would have to put in the effort to make things work, or I'd be gone. The frustrating part is she isn't really trying. She's already acting like I should be the one putting in all the work, but she's the one who called me up in tears. I wasn't going to be the one to reach out. Story 15. Well, here goes. I really like this girl, and I think she likes me too. In person, we're okay friends, but she won't respond to my texts. She talks and texts another guy. Let's call him A, who asked her out, though she told me she has no feelings for him. The sad part is, we used to be best friends, messaging and FaceTiming every day. Then one day she messaged me from the mall with her boyfriend. I told her to enjoy her time with him, and we could talk later. Soon after, she unfriended me, stopped answering my calls, and even her mom stopped talking to mine. Months later, she surprisingly accepted an invitation to a movie, but she didn't seem interested in talking. On her birthday, I was ignored most of the night. At my sister's birthday, we talked for a bit until A called her, and she had a long video call in my room. Later visits went similarly. She would talk to me briefly, then go back to texting or calling A. I wanted to ask her out, but the timing was always wrong, and our relationship felt fragile. The last time I saw her, I was determined to finally tell her how I felt, but my friends followed us around instead of giving us space, turning the whole thing into a game. As she was leaving, I asked her if she would at least respond to my texts. She said she'd consider it. I messaged her the next day, and days later I still haven't heard back. I'm almost ready to move on, but I want to tell her how I feel first. Story 16. I'm a senior in college with 2 majors, and my dad keeps pressuring me to graduate. He doesn't really understand, since he never went to college, but he used his life insurance payout to cover my freshman year. I've been working overnight shifts to get by and started using stimulants to keep up, which I regret, even though I suspect I might actually have my 25-year-old girlfriend. I'm 22, wants to marry me and have kids someday. But my parents' own marriages have been rocky, and I'm hesitant. I'd like to wait until I'm much older before taking that step. I care deeply about her, but I'm just not ready now. On top of that, I have no idea what I'm going to do after college, which is terrifying. My 2 best friends will be doctors from Princeton and Rice, while I'll graduate with psychology and biology degrees, but without the clear direction or upbringing that gave them such focused goals. Their lives seem so put together, and I wish I had the same opportunities. I just wish I knew what I was going to do after college. Story 17. 2.5 years ago, my boss said he wanted to prepare me to become his assistant director. 5 months later, I injured my back badly. I'm still wearing a back brace. And he went out of his way to make sure I could still come into work, keep my insurance, and avoid the heavy lifting that comes with our job. After 6 to 8 months, I was at about 70% back to normal, which is all I'll get for now, and doing my best at work. He mentioned the assistant director spot a couple of times, but it felt more like dangling a carrot in front of me. I quit smoking nearly 7 months ago, and my performance really improved. He noticed and mentioned it more than once. Then our company got bought out. We're all fairly certain that those of us on salary will soon be moved to hourly pay to match the new company's standards. And I can't afford to go back to that. I could barely manage it before. At my review 2 months ago, I asked what I needed to do to secure the AD position. He said I had to be able to do his job. I'm already handling all the paperwork, procurement, and heading projects. I can't do the sales work he does because all training classes were shut down company-wide after the buyout. I'm frustrated that he keeps adding more requirements. But I can't ignore that he's had my back when things went wrong. He gives me guidance, trusts me with projects, publicly credits my work, and makes it clear he believes in my abilities. Still, he won't give me the promotion, even though I do more than other ADs in different offices, and coworkers often introduce me as an AD. When I correct them, they tell me it's ridiculous that I don't have the title yet. I think he's holding off because our office is small and doesn't need an AD, and promoting me would mean he'd take on more himself. But if we switch to hourly pay, I'll have to find another job. I've told him I'm concerned about that, but he says he doesn't believe it will happen. I just want the promotion. It's a good company, a good boss, but he won't make the change. Story 18. I have been dating a girl for about a month. We saw each other a lot when she came home for spring break, but I felt like she wasn't as interested in me as I was in her. Toward the end of her break, she came to a party I was hosting with mutual friends. Before she left, I asked her how she felt, knowing we wouldn't see each other for a while. I told her, I am fully committed to you. She replied, I want to see where things go, and then she left. Later that night, after the party wound down, one of my female friends, Juan, who is not single, had gone upstairs to my room to get a blanket but ended up asleep in my bed. I quietly lay down on the other side so I could sleep. She woke up, grabbed my arm, and pulled it around her shoulder. We cuddled for a while, and one thing led to another, and we ended up being intimate. We agreed to keep it a secret. I have since broken up with the girl I was dating for unrelated reasons, but I never told her about that night. The guilt has been eating at me ever since. Story 19. I'm 21, in my second year of university. I've always had feelings for a very close friend, probably my best friend, since my first year, but I never acted on it because I only had a few close friends and wanted to focus on building friendships rather than starting a relationship. This year, after Christmas break, and after I had tried to move on, she told me she knew I had feelings for her and that she had feelings for me now. I was shocked. I had never seen any sign of this before. A week later, I told her I still had feelings for her. Then she started backing off, saying she wasn't sure what she wanted. She kissed me one night, but a couple of weeks later told me I was overwhelming her. For almost 3 months now, I haven't known what she really wants or thinks. Normally, I would just move on, but she's my best friend, and she's one of the best people I know. With this situation, though, she's really hurting me. I'm hoping now that exams are over, she'll finally take the time to talk so we can figure things out. Losing her as a friend would be devastating. Story 20. Life feels overwhelming right now. I'm a senior in college, and my job went from 23 hours a week last semester to 5 hours a week this semester. Financially, this has been the hardest time of my college career, and I've had to use credit cards to get by. It's not too bad, I'll recover. I came to school from 6 hours away, and over 4 years I've built a network of social and professional connections. In a month, I'm moving 3 states away, leaving all of this, except for about 15 solid friends, behind to start over. I haven't really processed the emotions that will hit when I move because I've been focused on finishing my last semester. About once a week, I come close to breaking down, but I push through it and feel better again. I'm scared to leave my friends and to be so far from my family, but it's been a dream for 2 years to move where I'm going. I'm taking 7 classes to finish school in 4 years, and it's tough. But I know there are people dealing with far more than I am. Story 21. I am extremely nervous around women, and I'm 20. My only experiences with girls have gone like this. Obsessing over a girl in high school for 2 years, the years knowing most of that time she had no interest in me, making out with 2 exchange students my senior year, dating a girl for 2 months in senior year, being strung along by the only girl to ever show interest in me, just so she wouldn't have to go alone somewhere, and being ditched the second we walked in the door. I had a crush on a girl the summer before college who lived an hour away in another state, and she didn't reciprocate. Kissed one girl during my freshman year on New Year's Eve, far from home. Finally lost my virginity last summer, and it didn't go well. I know people might say I'm not doing that badly, and maybe I'm not, But my problem is I've never had a stable, long-term relationship, and I want one badly. Life feels overwhelming right now, and I have no one to confide in. My best friend moved across the country for the military a year ago, and I haven't found anyone I trust like I trusted him. People tell me to just go out and start talking to girls, but whenever a woman has shown interest, either I miss it entirely or I think I'm being played again. I also hate the feeling I get when trying to flirt. Yes, eventually I want to get to know them more personally, but I feel uncomfortable, like they aren't actually interested. I have high self-esteem, I'm very social, I'm fine with rejection, working in sales for 3 years does that, and I can start conversations easily. But when it comes to trying to date someone, even someone I've been told likes me, I fall apart. Maybe one person I know is aware I have this problem. I was a late bloomer, but in almost every other social situation, I'm not awkward. I'm scared that if I can't figure this out in my 20s, just like I once thought I had to figure it out in my teens, I might be permanently stuck. Maybe that's irrational, but I can't shake the thought. It's all coming up again because I met a great girl, tall, pretty, into video games, uses Reddit, smart. She gave me her gaming handle, I added her, and I've been too scared to message her since. It's been about a month, and every day I don't reach out feels like I'm losing my chance. Story 22. I had a rough childhood. Not the absolute worst, but I wouldn't wish it on anyone. I grew up being constantly bullied and had no support system. At home, I had to walk on eggshells because of an abusive mother. The physical abuse wasn't frequent or severe, but the mental abuse was damaging. I was always told I was a failure, that nothing I did was right, and I was blamed for anything that went wrong. As a result, I developed low self-esteem, abandonment issues, and trust problems. I grew up too fast, never feeling like the world was a safe place. By second grade, I was already thinking about ending my life. I understood what it meant, but believed no one would miss me. The only reason I kept going was because I didn't want to leave my little sister in a worse situation. Fast forward to freshman year of high school. I was jaded, had maybe 2 friends, and was dealing with a lot. That's when I met my best friend, who after 3 years became my boyfriend. He was the first person to truly care about me, the first I told about my home life. He was angry at what I'd been through, but he helped me stop self-harming and made me feel human. Now, after 19 years, I've moved out because of a new conflict with my mother. My boyfriend's family took me in and won't accept payment. But after leaving, I realized my sister never seemed to have the same problems with my mom. In fact, everything my mom wanted from me, she got from my sister. Now I'm left wondering, was I really the problem? I try to believe I'm not, but I keep hearing those same words from my past, that I'm a failure, lazy, a waste of space. With my boyfriend, I keep waiting for the moment he gets tired of me. The thought terrifies me, because without him, I'd be back where I started. I know this is more of a rant, but I needed to vent somewhere. I don't know why I keep posting. It feels pointless when I could be doing something about it, but I don't know what. Story 23. My parents are worse with money than I am, and it frustrates me because I can't find a job. Yet they constantly overspend on unnecessary things and then complain about being broke. My mom buys too much food, and a lot spoils and gets thrown out. They'll randomly decide to go to the drive-in to see bad movies, even though they just made a huge down payment on a vacation rental. The one big expense I actually agree with. My mom insisted on going to a casino for Mother's Day and spending hours playing slot machines, which ended up costing me my own limited spending money too. All of these things add up, and then we're barely making rent or trying to cut the cell phone bill down to the last cent. This isn't new. For 17 years, they never started a college fund for me because they claimed they couldn't afford it. I call that an excuse. If I managed the household finances, we'd be far better off. Story 24. I left a high-paying job to study full-time at university so I can get my dream job. I travel over 4 hours Monday to Friday to attend school, so the only way to support myself is by working 9 to 5 every weekend. I live week to week, and sometimes I have come up too short and had to sell some of my prized possessions, books mostly, so I can afford to feed myself after I take out money for rent and travel expenses. I've lost friends because my social life has diminished, However, my father always taught me to keep going no matter what. My problem is that my best friend had an unplanned pregnancy. She claims support benefits for herself and her baby. Her boyfriend, who works a minimum of 5 days a week and gets paid cash in hand, also claims support benefits because he hasn't declared his work. My friend was caught shoplifting baby supplies and complains all the time about how inconvenient it is that she is banned from our local supermarket. But she and her boyfriend together would easily pull in over $800 a week. They live rent-free and both smoke a pack a day. She has an addiction to buying designer baby clothes, which the baby grows out of within a month. And she regularly texts me updates of what she constantly buys online. Story 25. I fear I may be slowly losing my sanity. Schizophrenia runs deep in my family, with full breakdowns happening to more than one member on my mother's side. And I fear it may happen to me. Back at the start of my first year of high school, I was a happy person, I got decent grades, and I had some great friends. Midway through the year, my parents are divorced, suffered a mental breakdown, and for 3 months she would fade in and out of touch with reality. Myself and my older brother were the only family members in the state we lived in, and my brother's way of dealing with it was to close himself off from the outside world altogether, leaving the high school freshman alone to deal with the one person he looked up to rapidly descending into a serious mental health crisis. Near the end of the 3rd month, my father finally figured out how bad the situation was and drove that same day to get both me and my brother, with my mother going into a hospital. Years later, my mother is back in decent health and living on her own, close to family and friends who keep up with her regularly. Yet she is a shadow of the woman I once knew, and it hurts. When I say I fear I am losing my sanity, I truly mean it. I consider myself a fairly intelligent, at least slightly above average person, and I generally think logically. Intellectually, I know there is no such thing as a werewolf. It's ridiculous. Yet I have constant thoughts to the contrary, thoughts that I myself, without any reasoning behind it, have the capability to be one, if only I could figure out how to unleash it. Similar, completely illogical beliefs in magic being within my grasp if only I would reach out also haunt me. I know these thoughts make no sense, and I doubt I have properly conveyed how deep to the core they run and how much they scare me. I fear that in 10 years, the man I tried to be will be nothing but a shadow, as the part of me that is left just continues the motions of life for those around me. I doubt that anyone will read this as this post is old, but I am afraid like never before. And it is in that state of mind that I struggle to sleep every night, just as I do now. Story 26. I'm 23 years old. I'm disabled, never had a job, dropped out of high school, and am doing nothing with my life. Aside from my long-distance boyfriend, I have no one. I really don't. I haven't seen anyone I went to school with since I was 15 and still in school. When I got sick, they all stopped spending time with me, saying, "We don't want to hang around you. You're sick and you never have the energy to do anything with us." Now they all live across the province, have new friends, and have no time at all for me. I think my boyfriend is about to break up with me. He is currently under a lot of stress, and in the past, he's always ended the relationship when he became stressed. He has taken me back only because he wanted intimacy and couldn't find someone else. He has been unfaithful to me 3 times and even gave me HPV. It's not a good relationship, but he's the only person who will talk to me, and I am already so lonely. If he left me, I don't think I could handle it again. He is the only reason I haven't taken my own life. Every time I drive to his place, I wonder why I'm doing it. But then I get there and hear another human voice, and he hugs me, and I just can't imagine myself without him. I've tried making friends, but at my age, people already have their close circles and don't have time for new ones. It doesn't help that I live in the middle of the countryside. I can't just join a club, a program, or something similar to meet people. I don't have the energy for that anyway. I sleep 20 hours a day and I'm still too tired to get up. If I could sleep forever, I would. Some days I just want to drive my car into a rock cut so that if I die, no one will know it was intentional. Story 27. I don't feel sorry for my grandfather's death, but then again, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel or act now that he is gone. I'm sorry if this makes no sense, but I'm a white man dating a black woman with an Indian boss, a best friend from Saudi Arabia, and another close friend from India who was also part of the LGBTQ plus community. To most people, this wouldn't matter, but to my grandfather, it would have been the end of the world. He was a deeply prejudiced person, opposed to equality, and strongly aligned with extreme views. He used offensive racial slurs toward black people, even in recent years before he passed. He made comments toward my friends and family that I will never forget or forgive. Still, he was blood. He was the reason my father existed, and therefore the reason I exist. My girlfriend tells me I shouldn't feel bad about his death, and honestly, I don't. But I feel conflicted because I have a good relationship with my dad, and my dad is nothing like my grandfather. My father wanted me to learn, grow, live life to the fullest, and accept everyone. But he still loved his dad, and losing him has been hard on him. Now I want to support my dad, but at the same time, I feel like I'm expected to grieve too. I can't do that because my grandfather disowned me when he found out I would never have a white partner. The surviving grandmother on that side is just as close-minded and doesn't want me near the funeral. But my dad wants me to make the effort to show I care. The truth is, I don't, and that's the problem. Story 28. I feel like I'm hanging on by a thread. I have a wonderful 9-year-old son, and my husband works very hard, but we are about to lose our house. I don't know when or how to face that reality. I became sick in 2010 and haven't been able to work since. Not for lack of wanting to. I want to work, make money, and contribute, but I can't even sit up for more than 2 hours without pain. If I go to the store, I end up sweating and shaking just from standing in line. The next day, I wake up feeling like I've been beaten. Worse yet, my mind doesn't work the way it used to. I feel slow, forgetful, and it's depressing. I'm losing teeth. 3 molars are gone, and at least 3 more need to be pulled. But I'm putting it off because we can't afford it. I have no dental insurance. My clothes are wearing out, but my son's needs come first. I rescued a cat a few months ago, and my stepson adopted him. I didn't tell my husband there was an adoption fee because I knew we couldn't afford it. I've paid most of it off, but there's still $60 left, and I don't know where that money will come from. 3 years ago, when I first became sick, my husband and I had problems. He was struggling with alcohol and had been abusive. I took out a restraining order, and we were apart for a month. During that time, he crashed his car while intoxicated. He survived, but now has a warrant for his arrest. Even though he's made major changes, one of his police friends says he needs to turn himself in or face consequences. I know it's his responsibility, but he's our only source of income, and I don't want our son to suffer. My boy tries to take care of me, even at his age. Recently, he got money from the tooth fairy and spent it on a book for me at a school fair. He thought I'd like it, even though it was about a series I don't read. And that simple act made me want to cry. Story 29. I get paranoid about the things I learn, whether from friends or teachers. Over the years in high school and college, I've learned more about how humanity is damaging the planet and how political leaders often don't truly protect people's rights. I feel powerless to change it. I can't convince an entire species to stop doing what it has done for over a century. I can't make a government follow the principles it claims to uphold. Sometimes people tell me this is the most peaceful time in human history, but that doesn't make me feel any better about the problems we face. I write occasionally. Tonight I started something new, but only managed 2 paragraphs. Writing has always been my outlet. I've always been fascinated by history. I know more about specific periods than most of my friends ever care to learn. I think it's that fascination, understanding why and how we did things in the past, that makes me believe we could solve our current problems. It's frustrating that many people today seem indifferent to what humanity has gone through. I know not everyone is like that, but it feels that way sometimes. My favorite quote is, "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it." That's exactly why I feel so uneasy about the future, mine and everyone else's. Story 30. I started becoming depressed at the age of 8, and nobody really understood why. I began self-harming soon after, and by age 13, I was diagnosed as bipolar. At 14, I had my first suicide attempt and 2 hospitalizations. I was considered brilliant, a genius IQ, set to graduate high school at 15 with a full scholarship. On paper, I had everything going for me, except for the fact that all I ever wanted to do was hide in my bedroom and disappear. I was given every antidepressant available, but nothing ever helped. My psychiatrist said they didn't expect them to work because I wasn't clinically depressed. I was bipolar, but legally or through insurance policies, they couldn't prescribe bipolar medications for anyone under 18. I fell apart. I dropped out of high school at 13 and became a recluse. My agoraphobia was so severe that I can count the number of times I left the house in the following 9 years. I didn't seek further treatment because I thought they couldn't help me. When I was 21, the nightmares began. Horrible, vivid nightmares where every night I watched myself, my friends, and my family being killed in graphic ways. These dreams are still clear in my memory, as if they happened last night. I stopped eating and I wouldn't sleep for days. My mom finally convinced me to get help again, and I did. At first it was amazing. They gave me medication to stop the nightmares, a mood stabilizer, and something to help me sleep. For the first time in my life, I felt like this was what life was supposed to feel like. I left my house, got my GED, enrolled in community college, maintained a 4.0 GPA, became president of a club, all in about a year. Then things changed. I started slipping back into my depressed and manic phases. I felt like I was losing control. I stayed home more, became angry, and felt resentful that I had been given a brief glimpse of what life could be like, only to lose it again. We tried changing my medications multiple times, but nothing worked. I left school over a year ago and have been depressed, angry, and miserable, except during manic phases. During one manic phase, I joined a dating website. I'm considered very attractive by most, and used it as an excuse to go out, let guys buy me drinks, and spend the night with strangers. I've been doing this for months. I drink because it's the only way to escape my own mind for a while. The worst thing that happened recently, I went out with a guy for the first time, we had drinks, and apparently we were intimate. That night, I had my first nightmare in nearly 2 years. I woke up in his kitchen crying, disoriented, not sure where I was, and convinced I had been assaulted. I refused to let him near me and had his family take me home. Later, I asked him what happened. He said I started arguing nonsensically, then left the room and began crying. He believed I was having a night terror. Fortunately, he's a psychologist, and after I told him about my history, he said he understood and wasn't angry. I'm 24 now, and my life is a cycle of going out, drinking heavily, and being with strangers. I'm afraid this is all it will ever be, and that there's no real help for me. If this is what life is, I'm not sure it's worth living. Story 31. At the start of this year, I was semi-seeing a girl. My plan was to become friends with benefits, keeping it casual with no strings attached, and then later in the year, when I was in a better position, I'd consider a relationship if it felt right. That last part was something I planned to keep to myself and not tell her. My best mate, who I care about deeply and would do anything for, was with me at a house party. We were both pretty drunk. That night, I was going to tell the girl, after being apart for 2 months on holiday, that I wanted to start a friends with benefits arrangement. I had told my mate my plan because we discuss everything openly. When I wasn't around, my mate drunkenly told her my entire plan, including the part about potentially starting a relationship later. From that moment, the last 3 months have been hell. She refuses to give me space, believing we'll definitely be in a relationship later on. My mate admitted a few days later that he told her everything, which is better than me finding out another way. I was the angriest and most upset I've ever been, and I made sure he understood exactly why. He couldn't have been more apologetic, and I forgave him because I hated seeing him so guilty. About a month after this happened, a cardiac condition I had flared up and required surgery. The doctors said the trigger was related to extreme social stress and fatigue, and after a long conversation with my ER doctor, it became clear that the stress from this situation, specifically involving the girl, was what set it off this time. Now, 3 months later, I'm still dealing with this issue every day. Every time I get angry or upset about it, I can't help but direct some of that frustration toward my best mate, even though I feel terrible for doing so. I haven't told him that it's affecting me daily because I don't want to damage our friendship or make him feel worse. We've been through a lot together, and I can't imagine a deeper or stronger friendship. I'd honestly say I love him like family. He knows I've been upset for months, but not the full extent of it. I just don't know how to stop being angry at him when the feelings come up almost every day. I needed to let this out because I'm stuck between caring for my friend and struggling with the impact of what happened. Story 32. I feel like I'm on the back burner to one of my friends, like he only calls or texts me when he needs something. I know it sounds silly because we're in college and we walk to class and get lunch together almost every day, but I get jealous too easily when he hangs out with other people all the time. I feel like I have to be penciled in to see him, and when we do spend time together, he's often glued to his phone. When he's with his other friends, he doesn't respond to my messages, which makes me think he ignores them on purpose. I know it might be irrational, but I've always had trust issues, and he's given me some reasons to believe that he's not above hiding things from me. It doesn't help that I only have two close friends, him included. On top of that, I'm stressed because I have no realistic direction for my life, and I don't know how to achieve the dreams I do have. My sister is the perfect child, interning at an animation studio in California this summer, while I have next to no money and feel guilty for spending so much this month on my friends instead of saving. Academically, I'm on a scholarship and terrified that my GPA this semester will be too low to keep it. I had a 10-page paper due last week that I haven't even started because my senior research topic only just got approved despite me pushing for weeks. As a theater major, I had to wait for next year's program to be released to confirm if my show would be plausible to run. I'm practically failing the only liberal arts core I'm taking right now, chemistry, and everyone assumes I'm a smart student, which only adds more pressure. My mom often seems to have nothing but criticism for me, and while I know she means well, it's hard to remember that sometimes. With my dad out of the picture, my siblings living in other states, and my friends away during the summer, it's hard not to fall deeper into depression as the school year ends. I've tried talking to a counselor, but I always end up thinking my problems are stupid, so I leave. My mom isn't helpful in encouraging me to get support, so I've ended up keeping a separate life from her. I'm trying to focus on bettering myself this summer, but I feel like I can't maintain relationships unless I'm either completely withdrawn or completely attached to my few friends. There's no middle ground, so I get jealous and upset easily, then regret it, even if I never say anything, and they probably have no idea how deeply I feel. Story 33. I feel like I'm constantly being judged. I've been through so much. I helped raise my sisters because my mom was often irresponsible, and she still can be. When I was 10, a man tried to assault me, and when I told my mom, she didn't seem to care. She cheated on my dad with multiple men. That same year, one of the men she was involved with broke into our house and tried to harm all of us, including himself. At the time, we were living in Mexico. My dad sold everything he had to come and get us, and we ended up homeless for almost a year. My dad never hurt us or my mom. He loved her so much that he took her back, but eventually it didn't work out. I feel like I don't know who I am. While I've had moments of happiness, most of what I remember is pain. I was always a chubby kid, not overly big, but tall, and guys would often take advantage of me. I've always wondered why. I want to find someone who can take care of me emotionally, but I know I have to let go of the past. That's hard because there's always something to remind me of it. I'm trying to be strong for my 10-year-old sister because she's been through her own struggles. She has a different father, someone I made my mom leave because he would hurt her. Since I was taller than him, I would get angry and physically confront him. Regardless of what my mom has put me and my four sisters through, she's still our mom, and I know she's been through her own difficult experiences with her own mother. A few years ago, my mom met a kind man we encouraged her to date. He doesn't make a lot of money, but he's supportive and considerate. My mom became pregnant with his child, but tragically miscarried at 5 months. It was devastating. I didn't find out until I returned from being out of town. By then, she was home but very weak. I couldn't cry. I had to be strong. Later that night, I was awakened by crying and screaming. My mom had fainted and stopped breathing. I was the only one who grabbed her and tried to bring her back. She woke up and recovered, but doctors advised her not to get pregnant again. That moment made me think about how much I really want children. 2 weeks ago, I found out I have an ovarian cyst. It's too large and doctors say it might be a tumor. All I really want is to have my own family and a loving partner, someone who will truly be there for me.